Welcome back for another episode of Growing Lemon Trees from Seeds. It's been 5.15 years. It's day 1881. It's 2025 March. So the root stock is probably much healthier at this point since the transplant. And I believe the shoot system is usually a good indication of the health of the root system. And if the shoot system has no progress, then you can be pretty much sure that everything down there that you can't see is rotten. So the overall picture of this plant is one of health and reinvigoration, renewal, regeneration. So you can see there were some leaves towards the bottom, the older ones that were looking a bit gnarly. And these new leaves look pretty good. So I believe my plants were suffering from chlorosis from using just tons of that really hard water, San Diego tap water, especially in Carlsbad where I live. The water is extra hard. So the parts per million of dissolved solids, calcium, magnesium salts, that's often like 500, 600. It's borderline undrinkable and pretty nasty. And the trunk here is quite thick compared to my finger, significantly thicker. So that's just a good indication of, how much potential this plant has. You can't just compare size and go, well, I have about the same foliage and volume as he does, so I'm about at the same stage. I'm ahead of schedule. It really depends on how thick the trunk is and how healthy the root system is. And also just the carrying capacity of the soil, although this is using the same pot as you see the ice cream bean in the background. So that ice cream bean tree is, I don't believe it was fully at capacity, carrying capacity of this volume of coco coir, but yeah, I think it's probably not far away. Without a transplant, my ice cream bean tree probably wouldn't have gotten much bigger. So yeah, I definitely think this pot is more than enough to sustain this lemon tree for quite a while, for quite a bit of growth. So I think, after 5 years, it doesn't look like much, but it could accelerate very quickly if I keep the conditions right. So this is the next day, the finale day for my ice cream bean tree. And what I'm showing you here is as I move the pots, I noticed there were all sorts of creepy crawlies underneath. So no snails, of course. They would be too big and too constricted by their shells, but there's slugs in there. There's earthworms. So the earthworms you see in California, they don't look anything. They're like an order of magnitude smaller than what you see in the forests of the Northeast, the eastern United States, where it's all basically one big forest, where there's lots of rainfall. It's a lot more humid. And this is about as big as these get. So there was a little bit of rainfall in March, and these are refugees of the rains. They came up out of the surrounding dirt, and somehow they decided to hide there, even though that's a dead-end game. What are they going to do? There's no dirt under there. What are they going to feed on it? It's kind of pointless hiding underneath there. So I'm actually doing them a favor by putting them into the coco coir. They burrowed in, at least most of them, the ones that probably were unscathed from me shimmying around the pot like that, turning it. I probably damaged one or two here between all the different pots, but I think the rest of them are fine. So the first thing they did was burrow in there, and I believe they'll find it a much better home. They'll have things to eat, lots of decaying organic matter. The pH of coco coir is good for earthworms. It's about 5 to 7, I believe, which is actually the optimal pH for plants. So I think people have mentioned online that for their earthworm farms or whatever, they keep the pH at 6. So the pH should be correct, and it's well aerated. When I water the pots, they don't come out, but I'm hoping they can burrow in and out of the coco coir and help create more aeration, and their droppings from whatever they're eating, that should accelerate the nutrient cycle. That'll provide natural fertilizer for the plants. So I'm examining what's underneath this lemon pot, and it's the same story. See some slugs here and there. I'll show you a close-up later. And sometimes you'll see, well, I'll see a California centipede or two. So those are about less than an inch long, or maybe barely an inch, or that's like 2.5 centimeters long. And they'll just kind of crawl around, not very fast, you know, unlike those house centipedes that you see in the eastern United States that are all much creepier looking, much faster and bigger. So yeah, this has some earthworms. They're somewhat transparent as well, so translucent. So yeah, yeah, there's some roots down there. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a slug. It looks really gross. I mean, yeah, this is one of those California centipedes, so I leave those alone. But yeah, there are things that try to germinate underneath here. No doubt the California wildflower seed packet seeds that probably fell and got washed by water to be there. So there's a isopod, you know, a pill bug basically, and then there's like 3 leeches, well, not leeches, slugs. They kind of look similar. It's very disgusting. So I'm throwing some shed ice cream bean leaves on top of them, which are nice and big, great for stomping out cockroaches and disgusting creepy crawlies like this. So it's 2025 March, day 1890. So yeah, you can see I started throwing some snail shells that I found throughout my front yard as decorations, because I throw a lot of iron phosphate pellets around after I water to get rid of all the snails and slugs. And obviously it doesn't get all of them, or I haven't done it for a while, and that's why you saw some slugs underneath these pots. But there is a little bit of the yellowing of the foliage, the new foliage. I understand that, yeah, it should come out maybe a little bit more yellow green because it's new, but there's also a little bit of a curling. So this is, I believe, the first time I watered with reverse osmosis water. So it rained some in March, but it was far less than 2 inches slash 5 centimeters. It's probably, you know, 1 point, you know, mid ones. It's not a lot. So it takes a lot to produce this reverse osmosis water via a countertop system that I'll show you later on. So yeah, I couldn't do much of it, but I was thinking about during this period of time, what am I going to do when I get to the summer? You know, I can't keep using this tap water if I want to fix the problems. And it's easy for people to just go, well, I mean, you've been watering the tap water this entire time, you know, what's the problem? Yeah, like, well, you can see from my many videos, it's like a lot of plants don't do well. Like you could see the California poppies, there's all that dead foliage that's drooping. You can see the avocado first mover lost a lot of leaves. You know, it can't stand up under its own weight. I believe that's all related to the water quality. So this is in April of 2025, day 1898. And I finally got a new system called a water drop that enabled me to really ramp up the production of reverse osmosis water. So reverse osmosis water is similar in purity to distilled water. I would say it's even more pure. It's about the same. You know, you get about like 10 to 15 parts per million of dissolved solids. It's true that distilled is, you know, theoretically the best, but that requires a lot of energy to produce all that steam. So it's a big you know, waste of electricity, relatively speaking. Whereas RO water can be produced very quickly. So I never timed it, but let's just say, I don't know. I would say it's like less than 5 minutes. You can fill up a 2-gallon can. Maybe it's, you know, 3 or 4 minutes or something like that. It's pretty quick. But now the problem is I only have this one watering can, so it took me like the whole afternoon to do this. But it's a price I'm willing to pay. And I have found out that you know, carrying all these pails of water and basically it's starting to strengthen my body as well, because I've weight trained my whole life basically. But there's only so much that weight training can do, and yeah, weight training tends to make you a little bit stiff as well. So like if you haven't gone running or jogging, sprinting for a while, and all you've been doing is like weight training, like various forms of squats and things like that. When you finally get out there and run, your whole body feels like it's forgotten how to run properly. Like the mechanics feel awkward for a while. And so yeah, it's just we'll see if this improves things over the next few weeks. I am very confident that it will. And you probably already saw a thumbnail, but yeah, you probably surmised that the ending was good to this experiment. So yeah, here's a honeybee of some sort. It's just kind of hiding from me, and you know, I don't know what it was doing. I'm always kind of wary of bees and wasps cutting away my leaves and flying away, because I've seen videos online of like leaf cutter bees and wasps and things like that, and that's never been the case though. So yeah, I can see there's one branch in which the top shoot has all these withered leaves. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but yeah, watering out, diluting all of the salt that's accumulated over the years in this coco coir. It's going to take a while. It'll be a process. So yeah, it's basically going to be, yeah, like I'm going to have to do tens, not just tens and tens of gallons, but maybe more than that, you know, like 50 gallons and beyond to see like a complete cessation of all the symptoms, such as chlorosis, all the problems. So those initial few waterings might actually sometimes exacerbate things, just because you're moving the salt around, you're dissolving it out, you're moving it around, and then it's got to work its way past the entire root ball to get to the bottom, get to the water reservoir. And then the water reservoir is probably still really, really salty and briny because of all those Miracle-Gro fertilizations. I've added crushed vitamins many times in the past, and what that would do is get calcium carbonate in there, which is, it's calcium, it's good, but it's a buffer. So that will ensure that the pH can never drop below 7, which is bad. You want your pH to be, you know, in the 5 to 7 range for a soil. And I think citrus especially, it likes a little bit more acidic, I've heard. But yeah, the water here is really basic. So it can be between 8 and 9. And I don't have measurement footage to show you, but I tested after I installed the water drop, which is around the time of the filming of this. This and the previous clips you just saw. But the pH that I tested, it dropped from maybe like 8.2, let's just say, to 7.2, which is a huge difference, because each point on the pH system is an order of magnitude. It's like a tenfold difference basically in the number of hydroxyl ions. And then here I'm just brushing away some disgusting webs. So in a lot of these cases, I don't really see the spiders. I just see webs, which kind of suggests spider mites. So yeah, I'm just doing some pruning here for aesthetics, getting rid of this unsightly dead material that's all gnarled. And you see there's a fair number of thorns. I mean, they're not threatening like the Joshua tree blades, but yeah, you can still get poked a little bit if you reach in there. So yeah, I'm just doing some beautification, pruning, and yeah, the water is really, really hard, and you know, there's water softening systems, but that doesn't really solve anything, because you're just replacing the calcium and magnesium, the 2+ valence electron metal salts, with the single ones, the sodium and potassium, which yeah, that removes water spots. But you know, water spots isn't the problem here. It's just the overall salinity, the mineral concentration. So over time, the plant just keeps drawing up water from the tap water, correct? But it leaves behind increasing concentrations of salt, like calcium, magnesium, and other salts, like the ones from the fertilizer that you see, the Epsom salt that you see in the upper left here, and the Miracle-Gro. So essentially what I was doing before was just salting the earth over time, and then it seems that oh yeah, I bought these two new watering cans. So I got different ones for variety and just in case, if I go with just one make and model, if they're not good, then it makes sense to at least have three different ones so that none of them has like some kind of fatal flaw or annoyance. So yeah, you could see on the screen of this machine, it's about 10 parts per million of dissolved solids. So compare that to like the near 600 that I was getting before with this uber hard Carlsbad tap water. And then this is my other system, the older reverse osmosis countertop system, the Bluevois RO 100 RO pot. So this one, it's a real bear if you want to make a lot, but the first clip I showed you in this video where I was using RO water, I used this, and this requires you to dump out this half full wastewater that's more concentrated in solutes into the sink, and then refill it with tap water and keep going back and forth, and that's like 5 minutes to make the water, and probably a minute or two to fill that tank, and then switch it. So here I'm making a solution of two new spectricides, Malathion and Immunox, plus Physin 20. I've discussed these in previous episodes before. In fact, I think I may have made a mistake of saying that I got a new, what was that, Bayer by Advanced 3-in-1. So yeah, I think there may have been some updates out there where I was actually making this concoction for the first time. It's all pretty recent in 2025. And I accidentally, at one point, I went out to Lowe's and I got another bottle of the Bayer Bio Advanced, and then I returned it because I realized that I had these. So it's not that I have a strong evidence or preference for a brand, but yeah, since I already bought this stuff, I might as well just go with it and see how it is. And the reason I'm using this watering can to fill this away from the sink is I don't want these pesticides splashing around in the sink where I'm also preparing food and washing my dishes, right? So kind of a oversight on my part in the past, but yeah, I'm getting the potential poisons away from my food sources. So food prep areas. So yeah, I tend to spray all my plants at once because it's kind of a hassle. I mean, who likes smelling this stuff and preparing it, so and it's not something that you want to have to deal with all the time. But I am wary of the bird poop caterpillars, their eggs being laid by the giant swallowtails, because the weather's getting warmer. And it takes a long time to do all this watering, but you can already see the plants are getting healthier in the background, right? You can see the Joshua tree. Josh is more of a dark green now. You can see the avocado trees are recovering. The foliage is very lush, very verdant, dark green. The California poppies are standing up. Yeah, I did trim away all the dead stuff on the bottom, on the perimeter. But I do think that plants falling over, the stems not being able to support the weight of the foliage has a lot to do with water quality, because if your water quality is really hard, it's poor, then and the pH is wrong, and the pH is basic, then it's said that the plants can't absorb a lot of nutrients from whatever medium they're growing in. So I think that's a problem. So it's paradoxical. I was adding all that fertilizer, adding what I thought was complete nutrition, and in that process, I neglected to consider the water. So yeah, the water is basically one of the main problems, and because of that, yeah, I had malnourished plants despite all that nutrition going in, and I was just exacerbating the problem by salting the earth with fertilizer on top of how hard the water is here. So you can still see there's a bit of chlorosis. Things are a little bit mottled. So yeah, flushing out these pots is a process. So it's like you could do maybe like 6, 10 gallons, 12 gallons at a time, which is a lot of work, but it takes time for that very pure RO water to dissolve all the salt and basically flush it out of the system. And then you have the reservoirs, the internal water reservoirs to all these 6 pots that you see. And those, it's an irregular shape. So it's just kind of like a passive dilution down there from all the water that you add from the top of rainwater. And so it's going to take, I don't know, like 30 gallons, 50 gallons, 100 gallons potentially to wash and dilute it all to the point where it doesn't matter anymore. So that's my theory on how this is going to work. We still get some weed growth there, although the weed growth really tapered off in recent weeks. So this was, April 2025, and then by the time we get to May, I'm not really seeing any weeds anymore. So maybe that has something to do with, reduced fertilizer concentrations and runoffs from the pot. So yeah, I knew going into this that flushing the pots was going to be, a process. It wasn't something that, you just do the first 6 gallons, first 12 gallons, and then voila, all your problems are solved. But rather, you'd see a huge improvement in health over time, which is what you see here. So this is the final day of filming for the end of this video. You can see a giant swallowtail laying eggs, and it's a beautiful butterfly. It's very afraid and very cognizant of my presence, and I could have swatted it or maybe rushed forward and grabbed its wings or something, but there's also a chance that I would have spooked it, and then it would have just pinched off the egg and flew away. So it's afraid of me. It's not going to come back, but yeah, I mean, it's very flighty, darty butterfly. It's just flies very erratically and very quickly. It's probably not easy to swat, but you can see the leaf health is improving. Everything looks a lot more healthy and green now. So it's improving basically by the week, and the new foliage that comes out is greener than the yellowish sort of pseudo-sickly stuff you saw in the beginning. But yeah, there's that egg right there. So I left it on for, I didn't bother with it. And part of that was just to, I was thinking about, well, that pesticide that I sprayed, will it be good against the caterpillars? But later on, I just, tore it off. Sometimes they're glued on really, really tightly, but that one is very easy to remove. So yeah, I've been watering using reverse osmosis water, and yeah, the other thing was this year I started using my standing desk, my computer desk, as a standing desk, because it is, and doing that really strengthened my lower back. So before that, I would easily get lower back fatigue, but I think all that standing really strengthened my lower back, my feet, my calves. So it's really changed everything. And then, yeah, I think it shifted the muscle tension or usage away to my glutes and hamstrings, which is what you're supposed to do, your thighs and your glutes. So yeah, all this gardening over the last 3 years in this front yard have really increased my endurance and work capacity. It's quite amazing. And me hauling all these pails of RO water out here to water has, I mean, I would think that I would feel like terrible by the end of the day or the next day. But yeah, I feel tired and I can fall asleep for a long time. But I actually feel great doing all this gardening. It's a little bit paradoxical, because like before, in the years before that, it's like I was more out of shape, right? I would weight train, but I wouldn't do, this kind of work, because like when you're just, you're sitting in chairs, you're lying on sofas and beds, and yeah, you might weight train or do some, whole body exercises, maybe like 0.1% of the time. But, when you're standing at a standing desk, or you're doing several hours of yard work and you're moving stuff around and bending over and pulling out weeds and carrying pails of water. That is just a totally different kind of exercise that strengthens you in ways that you really wouldn't have ever expected. So yeah, that's just my commentary on weight training versus this kind of like yard work, gardening work. I mean, both have their place and they have very different uses, but you got to get some variety. Otherwise, you're going to have weaknesses in your body. But yeah, my body is feeling like really, really strong these days, and I have a lot of endurance for this kind of front yard work. So it's been really great. Really enjoy taking care of my plants. But yeah, I think by the next time I serve an update, you're going to see this lemon tree is going to be much, much bigger. And I'm going to keep an eye out for caterpillars. So that's it for this update. I hope the growth becomes explosive from here on out. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned to my YouTube channel.